Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Gabby. I make videos about social work, career, business, and lifestyle. And I am super excited for this video because I made a video that was very similar to this one around this time last year. That video got a great response. I wanted this video to be a follow-up from that one. But in this video, I want to talk about jobs that are high paid or well paid, as well as jobs that are extremely relevant that will see huge growth in 2021 and beyond based on the current climate that we're living in. As you guys know, 2020 was a mess of a year. A lot of things happened. There were a lot of challenges, and because of that, it really birthed some of the changes in social work and where a lot of social workers are going to start moving in the future. So I want you guys to be aware of these areas where you can use your social work background to thrive, do good for your community, do good for others, but also make some good money as well. I'm wearing my money green shirt in this video too, because that is what we're talking about today. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Okay, so I'm going to list jobs that are high paid and relevant within the social work sector. First job that I want to highlight in this video is corporate social responsibility or corporate social work, which I mentioned in my other video. So this job is still a great option for social workers who want to work in a high paid field and also want to make a difference. So the reason I want to highlight corporate social responsibility in this video is because this area is just going to continue to grow, you guys, especially given everything that we've seen in 2020. I think with a lot of the social unrest that we saw with racial injustice, specifically in the United States, but all around the world, consumers are putting more and more pressure on the companies that they love to take a stand and get involved in their local communities. So corporations are gonna just become more and more socially conscious as time goes on. So let me kind of rewind it back and tell you what corporate social responsibility or corporate social work is. So basically there is a sector of a lot of your favorite companies. So whether it's Microsoft, Google, Apple, McDonald's, to name a few, these companies have a sector in their organization where they hire people with backgrounds similar to social work to basically help them to be more community minded and engaged in their local communities to support the causes that are happening in society. There is money set aside to implement within different nonprofit organizations that share a similar mission or has a similar cause. Another way that companies get involved in social causes is by recruiting and engaging employees to become volunteers on behalf of nonprofits in their local area. This is really a great way to help nonprofits to build capacity because often nonprofits have a lack of resources or maybe even a lack of human capital to make the type of changes that they're hoping to make. So I say all that to say that companies and corporations are going to continue to feel the need to take a stand on social justice and community related issues that are happening in society. And as this corporate social responsibility movement continues to grow, social workers need to be prepared to fill these positions because in school we learn the skills, we're learning that background knowledge that would make us a good fit to work in the corporate social responsibility sector of different companies. The average salary of a corporate social responsibility consultant being around $80,000 a year. And as you grow in that corporate social responsibility role, for example, if you become a director of corporate social responsibility, you can make $90,000 or more a year. So this is a great job for those who want to find a job that is well paid, relevant, and with a high growth rate. And I have other videos that center around corporate social responsibility, so I will make sure to link them so that you guys can learn more. Okay, so the second relevant and high paid job that I want to mention is becoming a therapist. So getting your LCSW, but heading up your own private practice. Of course, if you get your LCSW and you become a therapist, you can work for nonprofits, you can work for the government, social service agencies, but a growing trend that I am noticing is that a lot of social workers are taking that LCSW and doing their own thing. And I think one thing that allows allows this to be easier. And one reason this movement is growing is because with quarantining, we've all gotten used to having meetings via Zoom or some other digital platform, right? So we're all very comfortable with video calls. So this really does help therapists to expand on their work and potentially grow in another way. So I've noticed that a lot of my social work colleagues that took the therapeutic route and have their LCSW are opening up their own shop, maybe not necessarily having a brick and mortar space, but they are starting to deliver therapy sessions via Zoom or Google Meets or some other video conference software and charging a fee for those sessions. Definitely do more research and know that that is a great option. As far as the salary, you have the opportunity to make good money doing this for yourself. And I found that the average salary for an LCSW with their own private practice starts at about $70,000 a year. But when I was researching, I found numbers of $100,000 a year or more. So I think when you have your own practice, you have more control to make the type of money that you really want to make, because you are the one that's in charge of developing different packages and therapy programs for your clients. So really you have more control over what your overall financial trajectory is. Another area that is growing in social work and becoming very relevant is being a policy analyst. Now, this is a great option for my macro social workers out there. So those who are like me and interested in taking that trajectory. And shameless plug, if you guys are interested in learning more from me about macro social work and how you can actually enter into the field and hear about other career paths in the macro social work sector, I did launch a self-paced online course. It's going to give you all the tools you need to start your macro social work career. So I hope you enjoy it. I did the research, and being a policy analyst can get you about $60,000 a year or more. So it's definitely well paid. And the reason this job is becoming more and more relevant is because with so many societal issues happening, people are starting to question the policies that are in place and what we can do to better these policies so that life can be better for us all. And people are also starting to put more pressure on the government and are demanding more, which totally makes sense, especially after the year that we had in 2020. So a policy analyst usually works for the government, or they work for some type of think tank or consultancy agency. And these are the individuals that are kind of in the background, tracking different policy changes and analyzing policies and looking at what the pros and the cons of certain policies in question are, and making recommendations for how these policies can be improved. What areas are weak and what areas can be expanded on to be more effective and to lead to more social change. So anytime you hear about any new policies that are on the table or legislative changes that are on the table, there's someone in the background who is doing the research necessary to compile a list of recommendations for what those changes would actually look like. So in order to do this job, you need to be very research savvy, and you have to be someone who is interested in more of that macro social work perspective. But yeah, if you guys are interested in helping to lead to political change, then do some more research on being a policy analyst, because it's a great field. This area is in demand because, as I mentioned before, people want change. You know, people are really wanting more for our government. All right, so another great and well-paid position that you can look into for social work in 2021 is being a school social worker. I mentioned this in my other video, but this job is very important, and a school social worker works within a school system, obviously, and their job is to ensure that there are no outside factors or barriers getting in the way of the student's success. So they're in the schools providing resources, services, maybe therapeutic services or learning programs for students who need a little bit more assistance to really thrive in the school that they go to. So if you have a soft spot for youth, this could be a great field for you. you. And the reason I put this on the list is because in 2020, with the pandemic, students have really had a hard time. If you're watching this video, you're probably an adult and you can think back on how hard of a year it was, how confusing of a time it was. So if this was so hard for adults, just think about how 2020 impacted youth and students, and how teachers and school administrators are really going to have to step up the level of support for these students if they're going to excel. Because of 2020, we have a lot of our students who may be struggling with mental health issues. They may be very behind on their studies and maybe developed some type of learning issues because of those gaps in consistency that they are experiencing with such a rocky world. So our students need support now more than ever, and schools are realizing that they have to heighten their level of support for students. So opportunities for social workers who are trained to work in schools are going to grow in the near future. And the average salary for a school social worker, from my research, is about $60,000 a year. So it's a very relevant job and well paid as well. Another area that is growing in social work, which I kind of touched on earlier when I talked about how a lot of therapists are starting their own private practice, but is social work entrepreneurship. So one thing that you guys may have noticed after everything that happened in 2020 is that entrepreneurship as a whole have started to grow, and a lot of people are looking at what their gifts are, what their natural talents and expertise is, and figuring out how they can develop programming and services to serve the population that they care about. We have people outside of the social work profession that are doing this, and we also, of course, have social workers who are trained in human behavior, providing therapy at times, or just trained in creating change for individuals, helping people to develop the type of change in their life that they wish to see. So I've noticed a lot of social workers have got into coaching recently and have become either a life coach, a career coach, a coach that helps people to get through certain life challenges or struggles. And I think social workers are in a very great position to have these type of roles.
Now that people are at home a little bit more, they're becoming more reflective and are searching now more than ever for experienced and trained coaches and specialists who can help them to solve their personal and professional problems. But to excel and be a high-earning, successful social work entrepreneur or coach, it's your job to identify your target audience and strongly communicate to them how you are the one that can help them to solve these personal and professional problems.
And myself, I've also tapped into my natural abilities to assist people in reaching their career and personal development goals by becoming a career coach myself. And doing this has allowed me to really grow financially. And the thing about being a social work entrepreneur, whether it's through having your own therapy private practice, getting into coaching, or providing value and benefit in other ways, is that you're in charge of the money that you make. It's all about, how much time and dedication you put into growing your craft and growing your business acumen. Because of course, if you want to get into entrepreneurship as a social worker, you have to develop a skill set in business, marketing, and connecting to your audience, figuring out how to do that. If this sounds interesting to you at all, one of my good friends on YouTube, Rich Social Worker, her videos can really help you to get a better understanding of what being a social work entrepreneur would actually look like. Okay, so the last job that I want to mention that is both relevant as well as well paid for the field of social work in 2021 is becoming a diversity and inclusion professional or consultant. I did research, and the average salary for someone in this role is around $70,000. So that is definitely good money, and you can also make a difference in your job as well. In 2020, you guys may have noticed there were a lot of social movements, a lot of civil unrest, social injustice issues in society. There is a lot of division right now between different cultures and ethnicities of people. There's a lack of understanding about one another. There's a lot of prejudice that is happening, and this lack of awareness often leads to one group mistreating another group, just overall lack of respect and appreciation for one another. And because of this, a lot of companies specifically are developing programs for their employee base around how to celebrate diversity and create environments that are inclusive for everyone, no matter what background you come from. This is very important because for so long, we've had work environments that really catered to the mainstream of the population and didn't really consider how their workplace environment could be suitable and comfortable for everyone. The idea was that everyone should just appeal to mainstream culture and not really bring their full selves to work. But now it seems like companies want to create environments and cultivate environments that helps people to feel that they can actually be their authentic selves in the workplace. And now that conversations about social injustice is becoming very normal and very mainstream, it's really causing companies to have to think about how they're serving their employees in a new and more holistic way. So because of that, a lot of companies and organizations are hiring people who can deliver information, programs that will help everyone to understand diversity more and to celebrate diversity in the workplace. So this job would be a really great fit for social workers. The root of social work is really centered around social justice, diversity, cultural competency, and just helping people to feel like they belong in their communities. So I think we would do a very great job in this role. And I have several colleagues who have a social work background who are thriving in these positions. These positions are going to continue to expand and be needed. Definitely do more research on it because it could be a great fit for you. All right, you guys. So in this video, I mentioned roles or areas that social workers can go in if they're interested in making a good living, but also joining an area that is growing and relevant in 2021. So if you guys have any other roles or job titles that you want to mention below, please do so because I want people to be able to read the comments and get other ideas of a relevant and in-demand job. And hopefully this video can help you guys. Yes, we're social workers. Yes, we're doing good, but we also have to do good for ourselves and ensure that we're working in jobs that can pay us a good salary so we can take care of ourselves, our families, and our communities. So if you like videos like this, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you've watched this video to the end, drop me a smiley face down below, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.